Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start our video with a love story with an unusual ending. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Malicious Compliance versus Pro Revenge. High school sucked because I was a forever friend-zoned nerdy gamer guy, so I decided for my senior year I was going to get out of Ohio and study abroad. I slept through 3 years of German, so I applied to go to Germany. Ended up getting placed in Salzburg, Austria, which is the most beautiful place on earth I've been to date and need to visit again soon. The study abroad place had a few warnings for the next year before I left. Don't get in criminal trouble, don't get crap grades, and don't fall in love. My only danger with the first one was my lead foot. I totaled my first car, but was allowed to drive my old man's 95 Ranger 4-cylinder 5-speed, and it barely got out of its own way. The second one, I did enough to get C's and B's without caring much. The third one, I end up meeting, dating, and falling madly in love with my now wife and mother of my daughter. I'm 17, work full-time for summer. As stated, my old man lets me borrow his truck after I get off work. The rules are I have to be home by 10 weekdays and 11 weekends. He justifies this that if I broke down or whatever, he'd have to come get me and fix the truck before he had to leave for work at 6. To my turbocharged hormones, this is tyranny. I spend every moment I'm not at work with my girlfriend, but summer is quickly coming to an end and I have to leave the country. The last day before I have to leave, my old man eases the restriction and says I can have it until midnight to be home and can be gone all day. We leave for New York City the next morning at 10. This is when I hatch a plan. I'm leaving the country, so I can't be given a worse curfew or extra chores, and my family wouldn't piss away the study abroad money unless it was dire. I spent the whole day with my girlfriend and tell her to wait up after I leave. I have a surprise. I drive home, make it there at 11:58, creep to my room, and spend the next hour aiming her. At 1, I roll the truck down the driveway and head back to her house, fall asleep in her arms. Life is perfect. I knew full good and GD well I was breaking the intent, but not the letter of the law. My argument was that my old man never said how early I could go to her house. I never woke up before noon, so it was just left unsaid. Perfect malicious compliance in my head. I wake up at 9, just enough time for a teary goodbye, and haul butt home to head to New York City to fly off to Vienna. But I look out the door and the truck is gone. I panic and realize I'm a dead man. My trip's off. I'm going to have to work all the hours to pay my old man back for a stolen truck and wasted trip. I'm never going to have time to see my girlfriend, and I'll never experience Europe like I wanted. I call my old man in a panic to hear him answer with deafening silence upon hearing the news. Now for my old man's pro revenge. He heard me roll in just before midnight and went fully to sleep. He didn't hear me roll out at 1 because years of playing Dungeons and Dragons taught me how to be a good sneaky archer type. But when he woke up at 6 and saw both the truck and I were gone, he knew there was only one place in the world I could possibly be. So he and my stepmom drove over to my girlfriend's and with the spare key took the truck and went home. When he got my call a few hours later, he gave a full 30 seconds beat and then began yelling and told me I better find his damn truck or I was never going to see the outside of my room again, much less my girlfriend or Austria. I'm freaking out, running around her neighborhood asking if anyone had seen the truck, about to call the cops, when he calls back 5 minutes later, laughing his butt off. He tells me he stole the truck and I was in deep crap and I better be home fast. He makes me get a ride home with my girlfriend and her mom. When I arrive, he's standing in the driveway, smug as heck. I get berated for an entire 6-hour drive to New York City about how big of a dumbbutt I am and leave the country as planned. It all works out in the end. I got the girl who I'm happily with 17 years later and the truck until she died of Ohio rust 12 years later. And our second story. Told you can't smoke here. So, little of a backstory. 5 years ago, I was working in a hotel as a security guard. Things I had to do was to maintain the order in hotel lobby. If there were some problems in guest rooms, I had to go there, greet people, and help with their bags. One day, there comes this fatso lady with her nose up already. She comes into the lobby. I officially greet her, but she didn't even look my way as she expected she'll be greeted. She comes up to the receptionist and asks to get to her room. I notice she had a lot of the baggage, so I come up and politely ask if she needed help. Me, excuse me, ma'am, would you like me to help you with your bags? Lady, finally, I thought you'd never ask. At this point, my eyebrow began to twitch, but since it was my first job, I bite my tongue and take her bag, taking it to her room. After I lead her to her room with her bag, that had to weigh at least 100 kilograms, I place the bag back in her room and slowly walk away. She stopped me and complained already how I should be more careful with her bag. Of course, she had something, blah, blah, blah. I wasn't listening to her, and I roll my eyes, throwing apology in there and walking away, not listening to her. After that, I didn't have any problems with her, but there comes that one day. She was walking into the lobby with her cigarette still lit. The receptionist right away shouted that she can't smoke in here. The lady screamed back, "How dare you talk to me like that with the filthy mouth of yours, stupid brat! I'll make sure that your manager will hear about this." She was the manager of the lobby and receptionist that day. A few other things she said screaming. I come out from my security room hearing everything because the walls were paper thin, I tell you, and I try to calm her down. "Ma'am, please calm down. You can't smoke here." I point to the sign that said no smoking. She got all red in the face and began to scream at me all things. Because of her screaming, everyone in the lobby was looking at the scene. Even people that were in rooms come out to see what's going on. Then there comes the owner of the hotel. He was close to my age and owner after his father died not too long ago, but he was cool and had a few drinks with him already. Owner, "What's going on here?" Before I could even say a word, the lady screamed at the owner. He was in casual clothes because he didn't like suits and all official things, so he kinda looked like a guest. He told me once it's the best way to get the most honest answers from guests that way. "How the F are you, dumb brat, F off? Go play in a sandbox." Owner was shocked and looked at me, and the receptionist that was already dialing the police wanted to say something, but a loud screeching from the smoke alarm comes out because of the lady's cigarette. I found my opportunity to take the closest fire extinguisher and just use out the whole bottle at her. Owner didn't say nothing. Guests began to laugh, and after I emptied the bottle, I grinned. The lady furious screams even more how I could do that to her and will get me fired, yada yada. But the owner was just smiling, and between her gasps, he screamed out to her, "Lady, I'm the owner of this hotel, and you already broke many rules of this place. You are not only being thrown out of this hotel, but you're also banned from here." I had my revenge, so I stand smiling. Then the sirens come up, and firefighters show up with the police. And then the owner says, "On top of that, you'll pay for the false alarm in the fire department." And sure, she had to, because the police had to take her after she threw herself at the owner with hands. I don't know exactly what happened with her, but they took her, but I know that the owner pressed charges on her. A lot of them. Also added a 3 strikes rule to hotel reception and restaurant, that if a guest is behaving rude, there are strikes. After 4th strike, the staff can behave the same towards the guest. Edit. So curious about all that, I called the owner and asked about that lady. He laughed about the situation and told me she had to pay for false fire alarm, she had to pay a fine to the owner, and apparently she wasn't only mean in the lobby, but also in the restaurant, harassing and even hurting a waiter. That after all that, sued lady made sure to spend her next 3 months behind bars. Don't know if that's true, but I trust the owner and what he says. And our last story, Nana and the awful coworker. This is the story of my Nana and her awful coworker lady, AC. My Nana's in her 60s and works as the health and safety manager at a rest home for the elderly, making sure food compliance is met, that the safety of the residents properly looked after, and generally whatever H&S do in their line of work. AC's also in her 60s and I think is working as a caretaker, though I'm not too sure. Our story starts one day. AC's having a panic attack due to everyone yelling at her. The RN at the time ran into Nana's office saying that she's having a panic attack, help me. This isn't really Nana's area, but attended anyway when another coworker, the RN, had sat AC down and spoke to her in a clear and calm voice. AC puts in a complaint against her rather irrationally. The rest home ended up giving the coworker a warning, but this wasn't enough for AC. A couple of days go by, and now the other coworkers being sued by AC for assault. Nana, in the following week, and being the health and safety manager, tells AC that she can't have the gardener help her as he's not trained in this area, helping the elderly into vans for day trips. AC then yells at Nana to F off. "I've done this job for 20 years. I don't need anyone telling me crap," etc., etc. Nana puts in a complaint because you can't verbally abuse coworkers, let alone disregard safety standards. This happens again the following week, so Nana puts in yet another complaint because it's literally her job. Anyway, a small amount of time passed before Nana finds that AC has put in a formal complaint against her for stalking. On a different day, Nana was going to lunch with her coat and handbag, but had to pass AC's office. She was talking with someone, but then says, "Oh look, here comes the effing bee now." This behavior is out of line, and Nana decides that enough is enough. The residents don't need to hear this, so yet another complaint goes in. But wait, there's more. Coincidentally, Nana had to do a compliance report of 26 things this lady had to comply to when doing her job. Surprising no one, the lady failed 25 of them. Oh dear. Nana's let her boss know and is going on her first OE, overseas experience tomorrow, knowing full well that this will mean in the very least AC suspension. Nana's told HR not to do anything with the other coworker being sued until she gets back from holiday. This won't hold up in court, of course, but I doubt she wants to miss the drama unfold. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.